The final battle for Kepler 442 began not with weapons, but with desperation. Admiral Vorthak, Hive Commander Ziegfeld, and Energy Marshal Lumara had watched their mighty fleets reduced to scattered remnants at the edge of human space. Pride, duty, and fear of returning home in defeat drove them to one last desperate gamble. "We attack New Haven directly," Admiral Vorthak announced during the emergency council meeting between the three alien commanders. "All remaining ships, all remaining weapons. If we cannot claim this system, at least we can show the galaxy that humans can be defeated." "The collective agrees," buzzed Hive Commander Ziegfeld. "Our species cannot appear weak before the entire galaxy. Better to die fighting than live in shame." Energy Marshal Loom Ara pulsed with resigned determination. "The Federation fleet will follow. But we must know that this is likely a suicide mission." The three remaining fleets, barely 200 ships from the original 800, began their final approach to the human homeworld. They had nothing left to lose and everything to prove. On New Haven, Jake Sullivan watched the approaching alien forces from the command center. Around him, the people who had built and defended their hidden colony prepared for what might be their greatest challenge yet. "They're targeting the planet directly," Captain Brooks reported from the Defense Coordination Center. "All remaining alien vessels coming straight for us." Dr. Lisa Carter smiled as she activated the final systems she had spent her entire life perfecting. "Then it's time to show them what a real human world looks like when it's fully awakened." The planet's surface began to change as Carter's biomechanical conversion technology activated on a scale never before attempted. Roads, buildings, mountains, even the oceans themselves began to shimmer with the same quantum phase energy that protected human ships. "Everyone on the planet is safe," she announced. "New Haven itself is now protected by quantum phase technology. We can make the entire world intangible if necessary." But Carter had prepared something far more impressive than mere defense. As the alien fleets approached, the planet's surface began to glow with increasing brightness. The biomechanical conversion network was transforming New Haven into something unprecedented in galactic history. "Citizens of New Haven," Jake Sullivan announced over the colony-wide communication system, "today we show the galaxy not just what humans can build, but who humans truly are. Every person on this world is trained for this moment. Every building, every street, every structure is also a defensive installation. We are not just a colony. We are humanity's declaration that we will never again hide in the shadows." The alien fleets opened fire with everything they had left. Hundreds of energy beams and plasma torpedoes streaked toward the planet's surface, carrying enough destructive power to crack continents and boil oceans. Instead, the weapons passed harmlessly through the quantum-phased planet as if it were made of light and air. New Haven had become intangible, existing partially outside normal spacetime, while its inhabitants remained completely safe. Dr. Carter activated the second phase of her plan. The entire planetary surface became a massive biomechanical converter, drawing energy from the planet's core and the system's twin suns. The energy levels were beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. "Impossible," Admiral Vorthak whispered as his sensors registered power readings that broke every known law of physics. An entire planet converted into a weapons platform. The response came not as an attack, but as a demonstration of mercy that shocked the alien commanders even more than the display of. The stalemate that had gripped the Kepler 442 system for 3 weeks was about to end. Dr. Lisa Carter stood in her laboratory, deep beneath New Haven's surface, making final adjustments to the most ambitious project in human history. Around her, quantum tunnels hummed with contained energy, ready to reshape the very nature of space combat. "Final systems check complete," she announced over the communication network. The quantum tunnel network is ready for activation. Jake Sullivan felt a mixture of excitement and fear as he authorized the activation. For weeks, they had held off the alien siege through superior technology and clever tactics. But now they were about to reveal capabilities that would change everything. Activate the network, he ordered. Across the entire Kepler 442 system, hidden installations came online. Quantum tunnels that had been secretly constructed over decades began connecting every major location. Planets, moons, asteroids, and space. Stations were suddenly linked by instantaneous travel routes that made distance meaningless. Major Ben Crawford received the signal he had been waiting for. His strike force had been positioned at the edge of the system for days, preparing for the largest human military operation in centuries. Now, with the quantum tunnel network active, they could attack anywhere in the system within seconds. All units, this is Major Crawford, he announced to his forces. Operation Ghost Strike is now active. Remember, we're not trying to destroy the alien fleets. We're showing them that resistance is futile. The first wave of human ships vanished into quantum tunnels and emerged behind the alien lines. But instead of appearing one at a time, entire squadrons materialized simultaneously throughout the enemy formation. Ships that had been defending the inner planets suddenly appeared in the outer system. Forces that the aliens thought were destroyed reappeared in perfect condition. Admiral Vorthek watched his tactical display in growing horror as human forces seemed to multiply and teleport at will. Every time his fleet moved to counter one threat, 3 more appeared somewhere else. The humans weren't just mobile anymore. They were omnipresent. "Sir?" his tactical officer reported with barely controlled panic. "Human forces are appearing. Inside our defensive formations. Our sensors can't track their movement patterns. They seem to be everywhere at once." The quantum tunnel network gave humans absolute tactical mobility. They could reinforce any position instantly, retreat from danger in seconds, and attack from directions that should have been impossible. The alien fleets found themselves fighting an enemy that could be anywhere at any time. Engineer Patricia Young coordinated the psychological warfare campaign from her control center on New Haven Station. She watched with satisfaction as her carefully crafted propaganda broadcasts began reaching alien civilian populations throughout the galaxy. People of the Vorthan Empire, her voice carried through hijacked communication networks. Your leaders told you that humans were weak and primitive. Yet for 3 weeks, a single human colony has held off your most powerful fleets. What else have they not told you about human capabilities? The broadcasts showed footage of the quantum tunnel network in operation. Human ships vanishing and reappearing instantly across vast distances. Weapons that could convert matter into energy and back again. Defensive systems that made attacks pass harmlessly through their targets. But the most damaging revelations were yet to come. Patricia's team had accessed decades of classified alien intelligence reports, exposing the systematic deception that had hidden human advancement from the galaxy. Your intelligence services have known the truth for years, she continued. Hidden. Human colonies exist throughout the galaxy, each one more advanced than your leaders dare admit. The weak, primitive humans you were told about exist only in propaganda designed to keep you from asking uncomfortable questions. The effect on alien morale was devastating. Crew members began questioning their orders, their leaders, and their understanding of the galaxy itself. If humans were this advanced, what other lies had they been told? Communications specialist Derek Thompson had achieved total penetration of alien command networks. He sat at his console, watching the panic spread through enemy communications as commanders tried to coordinate responses to threats they couldn't understand. The Vorthan Admiral is requesting reinforcements from the home fleet, Derek reported to Jake Sullivan. The Zephyrian Hive commander is arguing with his subordinates about whether to continue the siege. The Luminar Energy Marshal is trying to convince the other two to retreat. "And what are you telling them?" Jake asked with a slight smile. "I'm telling each fleet that the other two are planning to abandon them," Derek replied. "The Vorthans think the Zephyrians are about to retreat. The Zephyrians think the Luminars are negotiating a separate peace. The Luminars think the Vorthans are preparing to claim the entire system for themselves." The alien alliance began to fracture as suspicion and fear replaced cooperation. Ships that had been working together for weeks suddenly began positioning against each other. The unified alien front dissolved into 3 separate forces, each watching the others as carefully as they watched the humans. Dr. Helen Davis provided the final piece of the puzzle from her xenobiology laboratory. She had identified critical weaknesses in each alien species that could be exploited through human biotechnology. "Vorthan neural patterns are disrupted by specific quantum frequencies," she explained to the tactical team. "Zephyrian collective. Consciousness can be interfered with using biomechanical fields. Luminar energy matrices become unstable when exposed to conversion radiation. The human counteroffensive began with surgical precision. Ships equipped with Dr. Davis's new weapon systems appeared throughout the alien fleets. Instead of destroying enemy vessels, they disabled them by exploiting biological and technological weaknesses that the aliens never knew they had. Vorthan crews found their decision-making abilities compromised as quantum fields interfered with their reptilian neural networks. Zephyrian collective coordination broke down as biomechanical radiation disrupted their hive mind connections. Luminar energy forms became unstable and unpredictable when exposed to conversion fields. Captain Brooks led the final phase of the operation from his flagship. The quantum tunnel network allowed him to coordinate attacks across the entire system while remaining safely protected behind human defensive lines. "All units, this is Captain Brooks," he announced. "Execute endgame. Protocol. Human ships emerged from quantum tunnels directly inside alien vessels. But instead of destroying them, they used biomechanical conversion technology to take control of alien systems. Within hours, dozens of enemy ships found their own weapons, turning against their former allies. The psychological impact was overwhelming. Alien crews watched helplessly as their own technology was turned against them by an enemy they still didn't fully understand. The humans weren't just winning the battle. They were demonstrating complete technological superiority. Major Crawford's strike forces pushed the alien fleets to the edge of the system through a combination of superior mobility, advanced weapons, and psychological warfare. What had begun as a siege of human territory had become a rout of alien forces. "Admiral Vorthek," Captain Brooks announced over open channels. "Hive Commander Ziegthy, Energy Marshal Lum Ara. You came to our system believing you faced a weak human colony. Instead, you have discovered that humanity has been preparing for this day for 2 centuries. The alien commanders found themselves trapped at the edge of a system they could no longer hope to conquer, facing an enemy that had revealed only a fraction of its true capabilities. The siege of Kepler 442 was ending in complete human victory, but the implications would reshape the entire galaxy. The age of underestimating humanity is over," Captain Brooks continued. "What happens next depends entirely on your choices." The siege of Kepler 442 began at dawn on the 3rd day. Admiral Vorthek had spent 2 sleepless nights analyzing the human demonstration, but his pride and duty demanded action. The Vorthan Empire had never backed down from a fight, especially not against a species they considered inferior. "Begin the assault," he ordered from his command chair. "Target their orbital installations first. Avoid the planets until we understand their defensive capabilities better." The 3 alien fleets had formed an uneasy alliance, something unprecedented in galactic history. Vorthins, Zephyrians, and Luminars working together against a common enemy. Their combined firepower was enough to destroy entire worlds. Yet they approached the human system with unusual caution. The first wave of attacks targeted what appeared to be the weakest human positions. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes streaked across space toward the outer defensive platforms. The aliens expected quick destruction of the human installations. Instead, they watched in frustration as their weapons passed harmlessly through shimmering energy shields. The human defensive systems used the same quantum phase technology they had demonstrated with their ships. The installations could become intangible at will, making them nearly impossible to damage. "Sir," reported communications. Officer Amy Peterson from New Haven Station. "Enemy weapons are having no effect on our phase shields. All outer defensive positions remain at full operational status." Jake Sullivan nodded as he watched the tactical display. The alien fleets were powerful, but they were fighting with conventional weapons against unconventional defenses. "What's our status on the manufacturing facilities?" "All biomechanical converters are online," replied engineer Tony Rodriguez. "We're producing new defensive platforms at a rate of 1 every 4 hours. The aliens are trying to overwhelm us with numbers, but we can replace our losses faster than they can cause them." The siege continued for 3 days with little progress for the alien forces. Every attack was either absorbed by phase shields or resulted in the target becoming intangible until the danger passed. Meanwhile, human forces began striking back in ways that shocked the alien commanders. Strike. Commander Katie Lewis led the first major counterattack. Her ghost ships used quantum phase technology to pass directly through enemy shields and hulls. They materialized inside alien vessels, disabled critical systems, and vanished again before the aliens could respond. "This is impossible." Hive Commander Ziegthy buzzed in frustration. "Our ships are being attacked from within. How are they penetrating our defenses?" The answer came from Dr. Helen Davis, New Haven's xenobiologist. She had spent decades studying alien physiology and technology, looking for weaknesses that could be exploited. Her research was now proving invaluable in the defense of their system. "Vorthin shields are designed to stop energy and projectile weapons," she explained to the tactical team. "But they can't stop something that exists partially outside normal. Space, Zephyrian collective mind communication, uses quantum entanglement, which means our phase technology can disrupt their coordination. And luminar energy-based physiology makes them vulnerable to biomechanical conversion fields." Each piece of alien technology that seemed advanced and intimidating was revealed to have fundamental weaknesses when faced with human innovation. The aliens had built their defenses around known threats, but humans represented something entirely new. The psychological impact of the siege began to show after the first week. Alien crews reported equipment failures that made no sense. Communications broke down at critical moments. Ships that had worked perfectly for decades suddenly developed mysterious problems. What they didn't know was that Derek Thompson, New Haven's communications specialist, had successfully infiltrated their networks. Human quantum communication. Technology was far more advanced than anything the aliens possessed. Derek could listen to their private conversations, alter their orders, and even make their own ships appear as enemies on their sensors. "Phase 3 is now active," Derek reported to Jake Sullivan. "I've convinced the Vorthin fleet that the Zephyrians are planning to betray them. The Luminars think both other fleets are preparing to claim the system for themselves. They're starting to position against each other instead of focusing on us." Jake smiled grimly. The aliens thought they were fighting a desperate human colony, but they were actually facing 2 centuries of strategic planning and technological development. Every aspect of the defense had been prepared and tested countless times. The turning point came when engineer Patricia Young activated the propaganda broadcasts. Using hijacked alien communication channels, she began transmitting footage of human achievements that had been hidden from the galaxy. Cities that floated in space, without visible support. Factories that could build starships from raw asteroids in hours. Weapons that could reshape matter at the molecular level. Citizens of the galaxy, Patricia's voice carried across alien ships in their own languages. You have been told that humans are a primitive species, barely capable of space travel. You have been told that we are weak, disorganized, and technologically inferior. Today, you see the truth. 200 years of human innovation have produced capabilities that your leaders fear to acknowledge. The broadcasts showed human colonies throughout the galaxy, all of them hidden, all of them far more advanced than official intelligence reports. Suggested. The message was clear. If the aliens were wrong about this one system, what else were they wrong about? Morale among the alien crews began to collapse as they realized they might be fighting a losing battle against an enemy they didn't understand. Reports reached the command ships of crew members questioning orders, demanding explanations, and some even requesting permission to withdraw. The final blow to alien confidence came when Dr. Carter activated the system's ultimate manufacturing capability. The gas giant in the outer system began to change, its atmosphere swirling with unnatural patterns. Over the course of 12 hours, the entire planet was converted into a massive construction facility. Impossible, Admiral Vorthek whispered as he watched the transformation. They're converting an entire planet into a factory. Within days, the converted planet began producing human warships at an incredible rate. Not the small, converted civilian vessels the aliens had seen before, but purpose-built military craft using the most advanced human technology. Ships that could phase in and out of reality, weapons that could disrupt alien technology, and defenses that made them nearly invulnerable to conventional attack. The siege that was supposed to last days stretched into weeks as the balance of power shifted dramatically. What had begun as a simple conquest of a weak human colony had become a desperate struggle against an enemy that seemed to grow stronger with each passing day. Captain Brooks led the newest squadron of human ships in a demonstration that sent shockwaves through the alien fleets. 50 vessels that had been constructed in the previous week appeared simultaneously throughout the alien formation. They didn't attack, but the message was clear. Humans could now produce ships faster than the aliens could destroy them. The situation has changed, Captain Brooks announced over open channels. We now have more ships than when this siege began, and our production capabilities are increasing every day. You came here expecting to face a weak human colony. Instead, you have awakened a power that has been sleeping in the shadows for 2 centuries. The alien commanders found themselves facing a terrible reality. They had committed their fleets to a battle they were losing against an enemy they had completely underestimated. The siege of Kepler 442 was becoming a disaster that would reshape galactic politics forever. But the humans were not finished revealing their capabilities. The worst surprises were yet to come. Admiral Vorthak of the Vorthan Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship, studying the holographic display of the Kepler 442 system. His reptilian features showed confusion and annoyance as he read the message that had arrived an hour ago. Beside him, Hive Commander Zeethi of the Zephyrian Collective buzzed with agitation, while Energy Marshal Lumara of the Luminar Federation pulsed with bright, angry colors. A human colony, Vorthak said, his voice filled with disbelief. In our target system. How did our intelligence services miss this? The insectoid Zeethi clicked his mandibles together, a sign of frustration among his species. The collectives. Data shows no significant human presence in this region. These mammals barely have functional space travel. How could they establish a colony so far from their home systems? Lumara's energy form shifted to deep red, indicating skepticism. Perhaps it is a bluff. Humans are known for their deceptive nature. They may be trying to claim territory they cannot defend. The three fleets had arrived at the edge of the Kepler 442 system within hours of each other. Each had come seeking the same prize, a system rich in rare minerals that could power their civilizations for centuries. None had expected to find it already occupied, especially not by humans. Admiral Vorthak looked at the combined fleet displayed on his screens. 847 ships from three of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. Surely no human colony could stand against such force, regardless of their bold message. What do we know about their defensive capabilities? Vorthak asked his intelligence officer. Very little, sir, the young Vorthan replied. Long-range scans show standard human settlements on the third and fourth planets. Some orbital installations, basic mining operations. Nothing that suggests significant military strength. And their fleet? 12 ships, sir. Small by our standards, using what appears to be outdated human design principles. Our analysts believe they are primarily converted civilian vessels. Vorthak's tail lashed with amusement. 12 ships against nearly 900. Even humans could not be that foolish. Yet their message had been clear and confident. Something did not add up. They demand we leave their system. Ziegfeld buzzed. The collective finds this amusing. What can 12 ships do against our combined might? Before anyone could answer, new contacts appeared on the sensor displays. The human ships were approaching their position, moving in a tight formation that seemed almost ceremonial. Sir, the communications officer reported, we're receiving a transmission from the lead human vessel. Captain Ryan Brooks appeared on the main screen. He wore a simple blue uniform with no excessive decoration, looking calm and professional despite facing overwhelming odds. Behind him, the bridge of his ship appeared functional but unremarkable. I am Captain Brooks of the New Haven Colonial Defense Force, he said. I'm here to discuss the future of this system. Admiral Vorthak stepped forward, his massive form dominating the screen. I am Admiral Vorthak of the Vorthan Imperial Navy. You will evacuate this system immediately or face the consequences. I'm afraid that's not possible, Captain Brooks replied. This system has been home to human colonists for over 200 years. We have legitimate claim to all planets, moons, and resources within the Kepler 442 system. Hive Commander Ziegfeld pushed into the transmission. The collective does not recognize human territorial claims in this region. You will comply with our demands or be removed by force. Energy Marshal Lumara pulsed with threatening orange light. The Luminar Federation has already committed significant resources to claiming the system. We will not be deterred by a handful of primitive vessels. Captain Brooks listened to each threat with the same calm expression. When they finished, he smiled slightly. I understand your positions. However, I think there may be some misunderstanding about our capabilities. Perhaps a demonstration would be helpful. Demonstration? Admiral Vorthak asked. Stand by, Captain Brooks said, and his image disappeared from the screen. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the human ships began to shimmer and fade, becoming translucent. The alien sensors registered impossible readings as the 12 vessels seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. What are they doing? Ziegfeld demanded. Before anyone could answer, the human ships vanished completely. One moment they were there, the next they had disappeared from all sensors. Seconds later, they reappeared directly in the middle of the alien formation, having somehow passed through shields and defensive perimeters without triggering any alarms. Impossible, Admiral Vorthak whispered. The human ships were now positioned between the three fleets, still shimmering with that strange translucent quality. Captain Brooks' voice came over the communication system. This is quantum phase technology, he explained. Our ships can shift partially out of normal spacetime. Energy weapons pass through us harmlessly, while we remain capable of returning fire. To demonstrate, several alien ships fired test shots at the human vessels. The energy beams passed completely through the human ships without causing any damage. In response, the human ships fired back, their weapons somehow able to affect normal space despite their phased condition. Admiral Vorthak watched in growing concern as the human weapons struck his ship's shields with surprising power. The energy signatures were unlike anything in the galactic databases. But that's not all, Captain Brooks continued. Dr. Carter, if you would. New contacts began appearing on the alien sensors. What had appeared to be empty asteroids and barren moons throughout the system suddenly revealed themselves as massive weapons platforms. Hundreds of defensive installations that had been hidden from detection were now powering up. We've had 2 centuries to prepare for this day, Captain Brooks explained. Every asteroid, every moon, every piece of space debris in this system has been converted into a defensive position. The scale of the human preparations was staggering. Energy cannons emerged from inside hollowed-out asteroids. Shield generators the size of small planets activated around the inhabited worlds. Manufacturing facilities that had been disguised as mining operations revealed their true purpose. But the most impressive demonstration came when Dr. Carter activated her latest invention. A lifeless asteroid near the edge of the system began to glow with strange energy. Over the course of 10 minutes, the alien fleets watched in amazement as the asteroid was completely converted into pure energy and reconstituted as a fully functional space station. Biomechanical conversion technology, Captain Brooks explained. We can transform any organic matter into energy and then reshape that energy into whatever we need. Weapons, ships, defensive installations. The raw materials of an entire asteroid converted into a military base in minutes. The 3 alien commanders looked at each other with growing unease. Intelligence reports had described humans as a primitive species, barely capable of interplanetary travel. Yet here they were, displaying technology that seemed almost magical in its advancement. Your intelligence services have been observing the wronged humans, Captain Brooks said, as if reading their thoughts. The colonies you know about, the ships you've cataloged, the technology you've studied, all of that represents only a small fraction of human capability. We've been content to let you think we were weak while we developed our true potential. In secret, Admiral Vorthak felt his confidence wavering. The combined fleets still outnumbered the humans by enormous margins. But numbers might not matter if human technology was truly this advanced. Phase-shifting ships that could appear anywhere, instantly. Weapons that could reshape matter at the molecular level. Defensive installations hidden throughout an entire star system. What do you want? He asked finally. What we've always wanted, Captain Brooks replied. To live in peace in our chosen home. But if you force us to fight for that right, you'll discover that 200 years of human innovation has produced capabilities that will surprise everyone. The transmission ended, leaving the 3 alien fleets to contemplate their next move. What had seemed like a simple conquest of an empty system had become a complex confrontation with a human colony that appeared far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. In the silence that followed, each commander began to reconsider their assumptions about humanity and wonder what other surprises the species might have prepared. The humans had revealed just enough of their capabilities to make the alien fleets hesitate, but not enough to show their full strength. The siege of Kepler 442 was about to begin, and for the first time in galactic history, the outcome was far from certain. Jake Sullivan stood at the observation deck of New Haven Station, watching the twin suns of the Kepler 442 system paint the sky in shades of gold and amber. The morning ritual had been the same for 30 years, ever since he became colony administrator. But today felt different. Today, the peaceful silence of their hidden world was about to end at the communication panel behind him buzzed with urgent priority signals. Jake turned away from the view and walked to the console. The face of Captain Ryan Brooks appeared on the screen, his expression grim. "Jake, we need to talk. Now," Ryan said. "The long-range sensors have picked up something big. 3 fleets, all heading straight for us." Jake felt his stomach drop. For 200 years, New Haven had remained hidden from the rest of the galaxy. Their ancestors had fled Earth during the Great War, seeking a place where humans could live in peace. They had found it here, in this remote system that appeared empty and worthless to the major galactic powers. "How long do we have?" Jake asked. 6 days, maybe 7, Ryan replied. "Jake, these aren't small scout ships. We're talking about hundreds of vessels from 3 different species. The Vorthans, the Zephyrians, and the Luminers. They're all coming here." Jake closed his eyes. The 3 most powerful races in the galaxy, all converging on their little system. It could only mean one thing. Someone had discovered the rich mineral deposits hidden beneath the surface of their worlds. Someone had realized that Kepler 442 was not the barren system it appeared to be. "Call an emergency council meeting," Jake said. "Get everyone there. Dr. Carter, Frank Morrison, all department heads. We have decisions to make." 2 hours later, Jake sat at the head of a long table in the council chamber. Around him were the people who had helped build New Haven into something the galaxy had never seen. A human colony that had grown strong in secret, developing technology. That would surprise everyone. Dr. Lisa Carter spoke first. She was their chief scientist, a woman who had spent her life pushing the boundaries of what humans could achieve. "The mineral surveys were right," she said. "This system contains more rare elements than any 3 normal systems combined. The aliens have finally figured that out." Frank Morrison, the eldest member of their council, leaned forward. His weathered face showed the wisdom of someone who remembered the old Earth, before the wars drove humanity to the stars. "The question is not why they're coming," he said. "The question is what we do about it." Captain Brooks stood and activated a holographic display. 3 massive fleets appeared in the air above the table, each one larger than anything the known galaxy believed humans possessed. Intelligence reports say each fleet has between 200 and 300 ships, heavy cruisers, battle stations, the works. "They're not coming here to talk. What do they think they'll find?" asked Danny Walsh, their chief engineer. "As far as the galaxy knows, humans are still struggling with basic space travel. They think we're barely capable of defending a single planet." Dr. Carter smiled, and Jake recognized that look. It was the same expression she wore whenever she was about to reveal something that would change everything. "That's exactly what we wanted them to think," she said. "But the time for hiding is over. I think it's time we showed them what 200 years of human innovation can accomplish." She stood and walked to another control panel. The room's walls became transparent, showing the true scope of New Haven Colony. What appeared from space to be a simple mining operation was revealed as a massive industrial complex. Hidden beneath the surface were manufacturing plants, research facilities, and defense installations that stretched for hundreds of miles. "We've been preparing for this day since our grandparents first arrived," Dr. Carter continued. "Every invention, every breakthrough, every advancement has been leading to this moment. We have technology that the rest of the galaxy can't even imagine." Jake looked around the table at the faces of his people. These were the descendants of refugees, but they had become something more. They had become pioneers, inventors, and now, whether they wanted it or not, they were about to become warriors. "Show them," Jake said quietly. Dr. Carter activated another display. This one showed the defensive capabilities they had built in secret. Energy weapons hidden inside asteroids. Shield generators that could protect entire planets. Ships that could phase in and out of normal space, making them nearly impossible to hit. The biomechanical fusion reactors alone represent 1,000-year advancement in energy technology, she explained. We can convert any organic matter directly into pure energy. We can build a fleet of ships in days instead of years. We can power defensive systems that would drain an entire star. Captain Brooks studied the displays with professional interest. It's impressive, but we're still talking about 3 fleets with nearly 1,000 ships total. Even with our advantages, those are difficult odds. Frank Morrison spoke up again. And we don't fight fair, he said. We fight smart. We've had 2 centuries to study these species, to learn their weaknesses, to prepare for exactly this situation. We know their tactics, their technology, their psychology. They know nothing about us except what we've let them see. Jake stood and walked back to the observation window. The twin suns were setting now, painting the sky in deeper shades of red and purple. Somewhere out there, 3 alien fleets were racing toward their home, expecting to find a weak human colony ripe for conquest. They think they're coming to claim an empty system, Jake said, turning back to face the council. Instead, they're about to discover that humanity has been waiting for them. Dr. Carter, I want every defensive system online within 48 hours. Captain Brooks, prepare the fleet for combat operations. Frank, draft a message to send to these incoming fleets. What kind of message? Frank asked. Jake smiled, and for the first time in hours, he felt confident about their chances. The kind that will make them think twice about underestimating humans. Tell them that this system belongs to the New Haven colony. Tell them that any aggressive action will be met with decisive force. And tell them that the age of human weakness is over. Dr. Carter began issuing orders to her science teams. Captain Brooks started coordinating with his military commanders. Frank Morrison began composing the message that would announce humanity's return to galactic politics. But Jake remained at the window, watching the stars emerge in the darkening sky. Each point of light represented a world where humans were considered. A minor species, barely worth notice. That was about to change. In 6 days, the galaxy would learn what humans could accomplish when they had time to prepare and reason to fight. The hidden colony of New Haven was about to step out of the shadows and claim their place among the stars.